Welcome. Hello, friends, guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Cincinnati. You know, we may be Club 17 out of 46,000 Rotary clubs in the known universe. But this past Tuesday, at the Condon School Christmas party, we were number one in Christmas spirit. Thank you. There was so much joy in that room. When Santa was giving out gifts to those little 4-year-olds, you could just see joy embodied. It was extra special. We are going to keep that festive spirit rolling. You see this very festive Cincinnati Christmas basket. We're going to auction that off during the announcement phase. I'll tell you all about what's inside before we auction it off. It was donated by Owen and Jan Raspin, so we'll keep that good thing going. We're also going to be welcoming Mike Zelkind, CEO of 80 Acres. Mike is on his way. He had to finish up an important meeting with Kroger, kind of an important customer, but he's going to be here in time to present. We're looking forward to his presentation talking about how the future of food is fresh. So we're really looking forward to that as well. As is our custom, we're going to start the meeting with the national anthem, which is led by Ken Coggeshall and accompanied by Steve Haber. Take it away.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Ken. And now our four-way test and invocation with Molly Rydell.
Thank you, President Steve. Good morning, everybody. Let us pray together. Heavenly Father, thank you for this meal that we are about to enjoy, and for our speaker, Mike Zelkind, who we hope makes it and has taken the time to be with us today. We ask you for your guidance, your wisdom, and your support. Please help us to grow as a group and fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect others less fortunate than ourselves. We thank you for all that you have given us and are filled with gratitude for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. During this holiday season, please bring comfort to those who are lonely, who miss deceased loved ones, or who are without the comforts that we take for advantage and enjoy daily. We ask these things in your name, Almighty Father. Amen. And now let us recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
You may be seated. Now I welcome Nancy Reese to welcome our guests and prospective members. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, President Steve. As we all know, our members are the lifeblood of our organization, so we're really happy to welcome 2 prospective members to our club today. The first is Todd Anderson. He is with Hyde Park Community United Methodist Church, and he is here with Jim Young. Will Todd please stand? Oh, he's standing? Okay. All right, and our second guest is Scott Herb, and he is with Keller Williams, Seven Hills Real Estate Office, and he is a guest of Dan Long. Whereas, there you are in the back. All right, thank you, everyone. Welcome.
Thank you, Nancy. Welcome, guests. We hope you come back and join us in service. Guests become new members, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Hux Miller to welcome a new member. Dr. Hux.
Thank you, President Steve. Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Hospice of Cincinnati. He's just done all of these wonderful things. He grew up on the west side. He went to St. X. Then he went to Johns Hopkins for college. Then he went to Yale Medical School, and then he did all of his training here at the University of Cincinnati, and he's been a tri-health physician since then. He is married to Ginny Wiltsey, and it's Ginny who started the Caring Response Madagascar Foundation, which helps us with our project in Madagascar. And Dave and I and Ariel and Barbara serve on the board, and we go every year to Madagascar. He and Ginny have 3 children and 10 grandchildren, and I'm so pleased that after half a century, we finally have Dr. David Wiltsey, a member of the Cincinnati Rotary Club.
Delighted to be a member of the club. Thank you.
Welcome, David. It's exciting to have you as part of the club, especially your influence over Caring Madagascar. We feel like we already know you. We've got 2 speakers coming up here next. The next 2 podium speakers, will be Carol Cerrone with a word about the Kendra Scott event on Sunday, followed by Bill Shula with an update about the upcoming Jefferson Awards. Carol Cerrone, podium is yours.
Steve. I'm here to invite the women in Rotary to an afternoon give-back event at Kendra Scott Jewelry Store, hosted by Women in Rotary, Sunday, December 11th, 2022, so coming up this weekend. The Women in Rotary Committee is pleased to extend a holiday invitation for an afternoon give-back event at the Kendra Scott Jewelry Store. We've partnered with Kendra Scott Jewelry to raise funds for the Rotary Foundation of Cincinnati from the sales of Kendra Scott Jewelry line. The store is located in the Kenwood Mall. Find great holiday gifts in the form of quality styles and stones at affordable prices while enjoying sweets, beverages, and fellowship on Sunday, December 11th from 4:30 to 6:30. Please RSVP by emailing our committee chair, Mary Smiley. If you can't attend, we do have flyers on the table outside. You can make purchases online December 10th and 11th and enter the give back code that will help us raise money for the foundation. We're also going to have a raffle at 6:15 to allow plenty of time to shop, so we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Thanks so much.
We are fortunate to be one of 90 cities in the United States to participate in the National Jefferson Award, which was started in 1972 by Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis and our own Senator Robert Taft. Our club has recognized local individuals and service organizations since 2005, including one of our own Rotary members, Doug Adams, in 2005. We have 9 national winners. We are fortunate to partner with Multiplying Good, Cincinnati Inquirer, thanks to Jenny Key and her staff, Channel 12, And we're great to have Bob Herzog helping us once again as MC at our March 23rd program. And also thank you to Sheila Obermeyer and her staff. The National Jefferson Award staff is a part of this, as well as our outstanding Jefferson Award committee, who reviews the nominations and selects our local winners. We could not accomplish this without this process and these sponsors in place and all of you. And so I've been honored to serve on this committee since 2007, and we need your help. It is our goal to nominate an individual from service organization in the greater Cincinnati area. That includes Northern Kentucky. So our timeline is we are going to begin taking nominations from you on January 1st until the middle of February. We plan to honor our Cincinnati Jefferson Service Award winner on March the 23rd at our meeting. Again, we have had 9 nationally recognized individuals and service organizations because our club and our greater Cincinnati area have made those nominations. And there are only 5 individuals selected by the Jefferson Award Committee as national winners each spring. We need you to think about individuals and organizations you wish to nominate. The Cincinnati Enquirer is developing a nomination form that we will have soon, and it will be on our website, as well as shared with our members in our weekly e-raise. You will nominate individuals online to Christy in the Rotary office, and we need to engage our public in making nominations from the greater Cincinnati area. Some of our past winners are Crayons to Computers, Free Store Food Bank, Cure Starts Now, La Soup, 1 and 5, Lawn Life, Found Village, Magnifying Giving, and Dragonfly. So we look forward to seeing your nominations coming for our club, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill Shula. The Jefferson Awards are just a highlight of the year, and happy birthday to Bill Shula. Thank you for being born today and for leading the Jefferson Awards. Before I turn this over to Michael Schatzman, I wanted to give a shout out to the meeting sponsor. We know and love our friend Brian Vielhauer with Decal Impressions, but Brian's newest business is sponsoring today's meeting, Magnetic Marketing Solutions. Magnetic Marketing Solutions and their team of 40 professionals are ready to expand their brand management and distressed real estate business. Let's thank Brian Vielhauer for sponsoring today's meeting. Thank you, Brian. You're shy and retiring back there. You're not even waving. Now I'd like to turn it over to Michael Schatzman, who will recognize member anniversaries. Michael.
Thank you, President Steve. Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to honor longtime members of our club who have been this past year celebrating a significant 5-year anniversary within the club. As I call your name, if you are here, please stand. And Christy has put on her track shoes, and she will be running around and there she goes warming up in the starting blocks to run around and give you the little, and she just pulled a hammy. I'll do play-by-play all day for you. So she will give you the little tag that you can wear on your pin, like the one I have for my 25th anniversary. So, in the words of Smokey and the Bandit, we got a long way to go and a short time to get there. So, here we go. Celebrating 5-year anniversaries with our club. Brian Bascom, Wes Botto, Kelly Crow, John Davis. Please stand as I call you. If you are here, please stand. Also, in the interest of time, please hold your applause until the end, and then we'll give a rousing rendition for everyone. Also celebrating 5-year anniversaries, Jody DeVoid, Amanda Forsay, Tim Hirschner, Allie Hubbard. Another group in the 5-year anniversary group, Jay Johannigman, Teddy Kramer, Ed Mathis, and Bev McCarthy. Also in our 5-year anniversary group, Jorge Perez, Neville Pinto, Prasad Reggie, and Vince Terry. And lastly, in the 5-year anniversary group, and certainly not least, Jeff Weir and James Williams. Moving on to 10th anniversary, Tim Bell, Charles Fellows, past President Rick Flynn, Jim Hudson. Also in the 10th anniversary class, we have Bob Rodenbaugh and Bill Stilley. Moving on to 15-year anniversaries, Bob Buchner, David Nair, and Bill Thieche. Moving on to our 20th anniversaries, we have Jane Burkhead, Ken Blackwell, Larry Cunningham, and Ali Hussein. Also in the 20th anniversary of membership in our club, Nudum Hihem, Arnold Rapkin, past president and past district governor Bill Shula, and Russell Smith. Also in the 20th anniversary class, Bob Walter and past president Susan Wilkinson. Moving on to the 25th anniversary class, past president and past district governor Uta Popke, Steve Rosenzweig, and Mark Supine, Bowler Supreme. Moving on now to those celebrating the 30th anniversary in Club 17. Kathy Grader, past president Bill Heinrich, Judy James, Tom Noonan. Celebrating 35 years with our club, Jim Klasner and Mark Robertson. Okay, it's about to get real. Time now for those celebrating the 40th anniversary with our club. Past president Bruce Brandstetter, Bowler Supreme Dave Lucky, and Bob Wilson. And last, but certainly not least, celebrating this year his 65th anniversary. Please give it up for John Frank. Thank you all for everything you do for our club and continue to do. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for all your service members. It's great to see some of the faces. We haven't seen it in a few weeks, so welcome back. Now I'd like to turn it over to Owen Rassman, Foundation President, for an update on the year-end ask.
Good afternoon. It's very proud of all you people that have been here that many years. Give yourselves another hand. This year, what we tried to do with the foundation is to do basically a general ask, and all those blue envelopes that you got in the mail about a week ago had this nice brochure and a review of just some of the things that we've done where your money goes with the foundation. And of course, with every nice glossy thing, you also get a card, and the card is for donations. And we were at the board meeting this morning, and actually it's the board meeting, and those people are obviously board members of the foundation. And I can say that there's been 100% commitment from our board to this foundation, or to the foundation ask, so thank you very much. Also, I just want to make mention the World Community Service did a fundraiser a couple weeks ago and did a great job raising money. You know, that can be your ask if you feel compelled to also participate in our year-end ask. That's good too, but we all take care of everybody. So thanks again for your support of the World Community Service and your foundation. Thank you.
Owen Rassman, thank you for your leadership on the foundation, and thank you all for supporting our foundation. You know, the club and the foundation are two halves of a whole, and we wouldn't be one without the other. So again, thank you for supporting that great institution. All right. I guess I will also mention along those lines that, you know, convenience rules my world, and it also rules the office's world. They can make it very convenient for you to make a gift to the foundation through the DAC-DB system. I think you just need to inform them either through that card or through an email, and they can send you whatever your contribution would like to be in the form of an email with a click and a link, and you can pay it online. Moving on to announcements. Birthdays. We know one person's birthday. Richard LaJeunesse, Bill Shula, John Ruth, Melody Weil, and Fred Okoti. Happy birthday. Split the pot. All right, today's winner will receive $56, and the rolling pot has rolled over to another digit, $1,000 even. So let's mix these up because there's real money on the line. All right, now it is so dark up here. My goodness. What does that say? You know, being a Rotary president has not been kind to my eyes. I think this is the year that I'm switching over to the readers. All right, so the last four digits are 4606. Do we have a winner? 4606? All right, Daniel. Ace of spades? Well, the king. So close, Daniel. Next time. All right, upcoming hands-on service project this Saturday, December 10th. It's in Price Hill at Common Orchard, 11 a.m. until 1:30. The goal is to replant 6 to 8 fruit trees in 2 established orchards and then prep for next year's growing season. To volunteer, please contact Dr. Hux Miller. Hilton update. As you may have noted, the Hilton has gone into receivership. Well, our executive director, Sarah Pattison, has met with the Hilton, and the hotel has no plans to change their operations, and our contract with them remains in good standing through June 30th of next year. The Hilton looks forward to continuing its partnership with the Rotary. The board and I will keep you up to date as we learn more. Club dues invoices. Payments are due Monday, December 19th. Just a friendly reminder, the invoices for club dues and the prepaid lunches were recently emailed. Payments are due Monday, the 19th of December. Rotary Euchre update. Big thank you to Mary Lee and Don Ollinger for hosting Rotary Euchre at their gorgeous and festive home last month. Save the date for this month's event on Tuesday, December 27th at the home of Amy and Gary Kendall. RSVP to Gary or Amy no later than Thursday, December 23rd. Note, we are still in need of a host for January 24th. Please let Linda Muth know if you're interested in hosting. All right, now we're going to do something a little bit fun here. Oh gosh, this is heavy. So, among his many talents, Owen Rassman and his lovely wife Jan just whipped together this basket. This basket is filled with Cincinnati treats, and I want to just give you a brief sampling of what we're looking at here. We got Grippo chips, we got Frisch's tartar sauce, Oriental wok sauce, we've got Aglamisi's candy, we have La Rosa's pizza sauce, Red's what does that say? Baseball cap, a Reds koozies, La Rosa's gift card, a Grater's gift card, Skyline chili, Montgomery Inn barbecue sauce, Rheingeist cheetah jungle cat edition, Mr. Red Snowman. We got a bobblehead in here, Mr. Red Snowman, a Yeti growler, Red's Christmas ornament, Skyline gift card, and Montgomery Inn gift card. There is a lot of good holiday cheer in here, and we thought it would be fun to raise some funds for the club and spread some of this holiday cheer to someone. Now, this basket might be worth $500, but we'll start the bidding off somewhere more reasonable. Does anybody want to open up the bidding at $150? We've got a bidder at $150. How about $175? Do I see a $175 to Melinda Kelly? Do I hear a $200? Oh, we got Brian Vielhauer's taking it for $200. Do I hear a $225? Mr. President-elect Doug Bolton, thank you for your support. $225. Do I hear $250? Oh, Melinda Kelly, you snuck in before Brian, so we got $250 to Melinda Kelly. $275. $275, Ali Hussein. Thank you. This is filled with Christmas cheer, so $275 is a bargain. Good. Thank you, Ali. Do I hear $300? $300, Larry Cunningham. Thank you, $300. Now, let's go $350 because people are fighting over this. How about $350? Do we have $350? Oh, well, all right, we're going to go $350 to Fred Fisher. Thank you, Fred. $350. So there's all this good holiday cheer. I don't know how much these gift cards are worth, Owen. People are going to start asking me questions. They're big dollars. Okay, big dollars. So do we hear $375? Do we have a $370? Mr. Vielhauer is good for $375. Do we hear a $400? Do we have a $400 for this basket, this Christmas list basket? I'm sorry, I might have missed it. Oh, Doug Bolton? Are you going? I'm sorry if I missed you in the back. I'm sorry, Doug got it for $375. For $400, sorry, I lost track there. It looks like an 8-ounce bottle. Do we hear $425? Oh, gosh, there's 8 ounces. So, we got a $450 to Mr. Vielhauer. $450. Do we hear $475? $475. This is for a good cause. Well, we got a $475, Ali. All right, thank you, Ali. Well, is anybody willing to give $500 for this beautiful gift basket? $500, you can own it. $500, you can own it. All right, this will end the bidding at $500. First hand up for $500. Doug Bolton, thank you. Hey, well, thank you for humoring a little holiday cheer. It's a great cause and a great time of year to celebrate. And Owen and Jan, this is a beautiful basket. I think Jan, went out and put this together. So thank you so much, the Raspmans. And Doug, thank you for the donation. Let's see. At this point, there was a little bit of Christmas magic here too. Mr. Zelkind, we're happy that everything worked out. Thank you for being here. We are big fans of your product here in this room, and we're delighted that you can kind of share a little bit about why the future is fresh. I'm going to turn the program over to Al Conscious to give a proper introduction to Mike Zelkind, CEO of 80 Acres.
Thank you, President Steve. Mike, thank you for showing up. I was ready to go into another song and dance here. Some of the people witnessed that when we had the governor here, and he was running late, and they told me to go ahead and do the introduction because he was backstage, and he would be here momentarily. I finished the introduction, and he was nowhere in sight. So I had like 10 minutes of stupid jokes. So anyway, we're very pleased to welcome Mike Zelkind. He's the CEO of 80 Acres Farms. I had the pleasure of hearing him at another presentation, and everybody walked away very impressed with what they were doing. So Mike co-founded 80 Acres Farms in 2015 and has served as CEO since its inception. Prior to this, he held executive and managerial positions at Monte, Pierre Foods, ConAgra, General Mills, and several others. Mike holds bachelor's degrees in electrical engineering, that's known as EE, and I'm sure Mike has heard this before, but you cannot spell geek without double E, so. He got his degree from the University of Minnesota, and then an MBA from Emory. At 80 Acres Farm, their mission is to provide accessible, nutritious, tasty, and affordable produce to everyone, especially in areas where people cannot grow produce year-round themselves. 80 Acres does this by building ultra-efficient farms that utilize the maximum footprint using fewer resources and are located in areas close to their customer distribution centers. Their crops are free from pesticides and residue. They are picked and delivered within hours, not days, which reduces food waste. So we really appreciate Mike coming out today. He's actually in very much demand because of, as their reputation grows, everybody wants to hear his story. And I think you all by now have met Sarah Portman, one of our members, and Sarah is married to Jed Portman, and Jed is, I believe, the communications director for your company. So they helped facilitate all that. So please welcome CEO of 80 Acres Farms, Mike Zelkind.
Folks, if you don't mind, I'm going to walk around a bit and see you all. First of all, I want to apologize for that dramatic entrance last minute. It was kind of cool. I might need to do that more often. I normally try not to be late, but we are a startup, and when your largest, most important customer calls, we took care of what we needed to take care of. So, but it is a real honor and a pleasure to be here, and I thank you all for taking the time. I'll try to keep this fun and lighthearted, and I don't know if I could make your word, not mine, stupid jokes for 10 minutes. I might try, but I will try to prove that there is a double E in geek, because I will get a little technical with you guys if you allow me. And the only stupid joke that comes to mind is, I don't know where Bob is back there, but there's no tartar sauce in this presentation. So, and that's it, I'm out. So with that, and without further ado, I'm going to start a little bit with who we are, but I want to get past this slide. We started in 2015. We started here in Cincinnati. We have 8 facilities. We did take in about $300 million to date. We started by self-funding this company, which is really, really important. We didn't want to start by taking VC dollars. A, they're expensive. B, we felt that this was a very interesting concept, and when we started this 7 years ago, a lot of my friends would look at me, and I had a real job, and I was running a real company that used to be NASDAQ, or New York Stock Exchange, I should say, listed, and everything was wonderful, and I had access to planes and a variety of other things, and then I pretty much invested everything that I owned to do this, and this was at best science fiction 7 years ago. And a lot of folks, including my wife and most of my friends, thought that I totally lost my mind, and I honestly probably had. But we really believed in the fact that our food system, unfortunately, I don't want to be melodramatic and call it broken, but it was broken. The supply chains that are in place to deliver food from farms to our table today are doing the exact job, by the way, that they were designed to do, which is to optimize cost. It is the lowest cost to bring product from point A from the farm to your table, but unfortunately the consumer demands today are a bit different. It's not just cost, it is nutrition, it is flavor, it's a variety of other things. It is a little more community-based, and our supply chains weren't designed for that. And COVID proved that the communities that had the highest spikes of COVID were the ones that had worst immune systems, and you can tie a lot of that to the foods that we eat. It's not a silver bullet, it's not the only problem, but we realized while running Del Monte that we needed to do something. And frankly, I got sick of talking about it at cocktail parties, and this wasn't something that was going to be solved with an app in San Francisco. It had to be something, it was a problem that had to be solved by our industry, by the food industry, and we had to do it from within the food industry. So my business partner, Tesha Livingston, and me, we gave up, relatively, decent careers that we worked our whole lives to get. We brought a team of 20-some people with us, and we started inventing, and we refused to take outside dollars until we felt we proved the business concept. And to us, the business concept was that we could apply technology to grow this new style food in this new way, and we could go through many cycles, not one or two cycles, and declare victory. That wasn't enough. That's step one. Step two was we had to get that product into the retail and food service channels, and we've been fortunate enough to be servicing our retail and food service friends for the last 30 years for me, 25 for my business partner, and many others in our team. So we were able to do that. Then the third step was we wanted to make sure that consumers actually purchased the product, liked it, and came back, that it truly resonated with the end consumer, not just that we could push it into the retail channels. That was step three. And the final step four was we needed to be able to pro forma an actual business model with the right unit economics. So we weren't selling pipe dreams. We are from the Midwest. We are in the Midwest. And if we're going to build something, we want to build something real, not just tell a bunch of tall tales and fly high for a few years and then hide for the next couple. Sometimes that happens, by the way. It's nobody's fault, and nobody can guarantee success, but our intention was to try to do this in a real way. And we weren't seeking a lot of publicity. We were very quiet when we started. We just thought that there was a lot of other folks that wanted to make speeches, and our thought was we had to prove that the concept works. So for the first 5 years, almost nobody has heard of us. In fact, one of the biggest problems I have is we now travel around the world and we speak, and when I speak in Wall Street, the biggest issue is, well, if you guys have done all that, why haven't we heard of you? And I tell them we're from the Midwest. We're just trying to do good work, and good things will happen, and you will hear of us, and when you do, it'll hopefully matter. So I want to jump very quickly to why we started the company, because that is really core to who we are. And I often like to start with a slide. Again, I have a 30-year career in the food industry, but we felt it was so important to build a company that we wanted our kids to work in, and we wanted to build an ethical, mission-based company that people are talking about, the Great Resignation, all these other things. We think that's a leadership issue. We think it's not a millennial issue. We think if you can define a vision, get folks excited about it, make their life matter, they will work. They might work different hours than I work, and they might do it differently, but we don't have an issue with it. This is our internal belief system. We believe first and foremost that food should be grown where people are year-round. Today you can't do that. And I'll walk through why a little later, but in a quick nutshell, and I promise I'll probably take all my time on the first two slides and then I'll rush through the rest of them, but just a quick anecdote of why you can't grow food where people are today. Leafy greens, let's take leafy greens. There was a Washington Post interesting article this morning about are salads good for you? And the answer was it depends on the dressing you put on and depends on where you source your produce. Generally, yes, better than Spam, but there are different ways to do it. The reason you can't grow lettuce in a lot of places is lettuce, for example, grows only at a temperature of 72 to 76 degrees. If it's cooler, it's too cold and it won't grow, and it'll start getting moldy and everything else. If it's warmer than that, it'll do what's called bolting. It'll go to seed, it'll get a lot bitter, and the consumer won't like it. Lettuce outside, outdoors, traditional farming methods, needs about 90 to 120 days. Depends on a variety of variables and factors. There are only so many places in North America where you can get that temperature with enough light units for 90 to 120 days, and that place for 9 months out of a year is called Salinas, California. And for 3 months out of the year, when it gets too cold, everything moves to Yuma, Arizona. So here in Ohio, we can grow lettuce, maybe, as a hobby, but 95% of lettuce comes from Salinas, California. So here it's 2,400 miles. And the problem is, if you're shipping apples, which have 9 to 11 month shelf life, that's fine, that's no problem. But if you're shipping a highly perishable good, which tomatoes and berries and leafies and culinary herbs and so many of our food products that give flavor, nutrition, and make food memorable, right? They're largely highly perishable items. And we've been designing them to last through the supply chains that we have built instead of for flavor and nutrition. And I'll talk about that in a minute with the supply chain slide that demonstrates it. But we felt that food, if you can use technology properly, food should be grown where people are. We felt that food should taste great. Number one rule in food is I can tell you how sustainable our growing methods are. I can tell you how we involve the community. I can give you a lot of stuff that'll make you feel really, really good. But if you go to the store, you go to your local Kroger and you buy it and it doesn't taste good, you're not going to spend your hard-earned dollar again. We can't expect you to. So food, number one rule, has to taste great. Everything else matters only if it tastes great. Food should be wholesome and nutritious. What we put in our bodies and our kids' bodies is important. And we have been so focused on getting it from point A to point B at the lowest cost that honestly, that just has not been much of an issue until, frankly, the internet and the radical transparency that it drove, which forced, and again, and through the millennials and all the noise, it forced a lot of us who were running food companies to kind of wake up and smell a toast burning and realize that, you know what, we do need to be a bit more thoughtful about that. And I have a lot of anecdotes and color on that. And pesticides and herbicides, strawberries, the dirty dozen. It doesn't have to be like that anymore. And finally, feeding people shouldn't endanger the environment. 70% of world's fresh water, 69% in North America, is used by farmers. Not because farmers are doing anything wrong, because precision farming is a myth. You have pivots that are dumping water all over the place. If you drive through Salinas during growing season, you will see old pipes with holes in them and some sort of a pump pumping water to, I mean, if you actually walk our food production system, you will be shocked what you see. It doesn't have to be that way. But you can't demand a farmer who's hardly getting by to go upgrade their whole system. It's not practical either. And you can't subsidize it all, because I can give you a lot of examples of what happens if you do that. So there has to be a technological application, a true disruption of this oldest industry of feeding people, and now technology enables us to do it. Very quickly, the trends in the world, global and consumer, are all pushing us towards massive disruption in agriculture. Growth and urbanization, over 10 billion people in the next 25 years, 2.25 more billion mouths to feed. Where and how? As we're urbanizing, 64% according to the latest UN census is urbanizing, farms are moving further and further away, and with global networks, we're shipping these foods all over the world. And on average, food travels over 2,400 miles in US, in Britain, post-Brexit, over 4,600 kilometers. That's a lot. And I'll show you the supply chain of what happens. Food security is a huge issue that we are privileged enough not to be thinking about here, but I love to tell this story just because it's a fun story to tell, and I promise I'm not, again, name dropping. you know, we have a little joke that everybody always wants to go figure out how to do this in Bahamas, right? So every salesperson I've ever had always wanted to go to Bahamas in the winter to try to discover how to open that market. The term for that is boondoggle. But we had the prime minister, sitting prime minister of Bahamas, with half his candidate, the CEO of Cisco Bahamas, and a variety of other folks fly in last February to Hamilton, Ohio. We've had actually three, only one sitting prime minister president, but I'm not sure how many have come to Hamilton before. But when a prime minister with half his cabinet flies into Hamilton, Ohio in the middle of winter, there's something that he wants. And I'll tell you what he wants. And he told a story which was incredible. Bahamas imports about $1 billion of food. And Bahamas used to be an agrarian nation back in the 40s, 50s, and then it all kind of dried up, and now there's a Morton salt plant somewhere, but other than that, there's no other food type production there. When we got hit with 9/11, U.S. had other thoughts, and we stopped for a while supplying Bahamas with food. Bahamas keeps, on average, 6 to 9 months supply of food. Post 9/11, they were down to 1 month. This gentleman was a finance minister, and to use his words, and you know, he was trying to connect, he said, never again. He ran on that platform many years later, and he said, I want to bring technology, I want to uplift the Bahamian society, I can't be dependent. In fact, he sees a solution for all island nations, Caribbean and others. I need to uplift our community, and this is what we need to do, and you guys got to come down. And in fact, he instituted a law in Bahamas that 40% of all foods that are bought have to be local foods. We're going to be the only local company with a Bahamian set of partners, and all government agencies and hotels and others have to buy local foods if there's a supply. And he looked at me and he said, you're not going to gouge, right? And I said, no, sir. And he said, okay. And he went back and implemented it. So the point is, there's a massive need for food security. When you think about food security in extreme weather, California was underwater a couple of years ago, and then it's on fire, and then it's underwater again. If you think about why, it's not rocket science, right? Roots and root systems hold the ground. You don't have enough water, you dry, you lose the plants, then you have a rain, you have mudslides. Australia, you go to Australia right now, they had 3 massive floods this year in Australia, which was also burning a while before. Head of lettuce costs $15. Nobody eats it. There's a lot of issues there, but you can't get fresh produce. And you know, the government is putting $500 million of grants for anybody who's going to come in and start building these things. It's a massive, massive issue. And finally, food safety. Again, recalls. Every Thanksgiving through Christmas, there's recalls in produce. Recalls that wipe out the industry because all these fields use the same water supplies. It's not, again, that farmers are doing anything wrong. It's that in Salinas, you use the same water for all the fields. When you have a problem, you can't track it to a processing plant or a packaging plant because chances are the recall didn't occur there. It occurred at a water source that occurred in one of the fields. You can't track and trace. All the shelves are wiped out. Consumers lose faith in this, and we keep eating other stuff that we shouldn't be eating. On the consumer trend, clean food is in, and yet as a human race, we dump 5.6 billion pounds of pesticides a year onto our soils to grow these foods. 5.6 billion pounds. Pesticides have a half-life. Plants are little pumps. Any plant, anything you eat that is plant-based are little pumps. They will take nutrients and water and they'll suck up everything that's in that ground, good and bad. They look for their essential minerals and whatever else they need, fertilizer, other things, but they pick up whatever else in those soils. Soil, by definition, is inorganic. Basic 5th grade science, right? Soil is inorganic. It's the decomposing matter in a soil that provides organic content. So plants suck it all up. Organic food, non-organic food, doesn't matter. There's a better way, right? There's a new way. Food waste. Over 1/3 of the food in North America is wasted. Can't make it from farm to field. And reducing plastics is a key topic for us. I love to tell a quick story that 50 years ago, you didn't have islands of plastic swimming in our oceans. Why? Because most supply chains were local. As we globalize things, which is great, and we need globalization for many things, but computer chips are not potato chips. Highly perishable items should not be globalized. There's a better way. To ship products all over the place, we pack them, we shrink wrap them, we put them in boxes. We do so many things that at the end of the day, we have all this plastic waste. And the solution is not to just come up with better biodegradable plastic. The solution is, in many cases, to stop shipping things all over the place if you don't have to. There are not necessarily economies of scale by doing this in one place in a world. You can build very highly efficient farms without increasing pricing, providing much higher quality, value, creating jobs, uplifting communities, doing all these things. Technology enables us to do it. This isn't, your daddy's Oldsmobile type story, right? All of that leads us to hyperlocal. So here's a typical supply chain of getting produce from farm to our table. And the only point I want to make, I'm not going to walk you through this with the exception that it's a lot of touch points, a lot of chances to break the cold chain, creates a lot of waste. Everybody in the middle takes their 12 to 18%. The problem is the farmer makes no money. The farmer, half the time, 1 out of 3 years farmers make money. Half the time, they're not going to pick the crops that have come up because it rained, they can't get labor, they'll get more from crop insurance. The whole system is set up structurally to be drastically disrupted. Let's just leave it at that. Incredibly inefficient, low-cost product, but not what we need anymore. According to USDA, $162 billion of food gets wasted. With all the hunger, with all the poverty, with all the issues we have, $162 billion of food, according to USDA, gets wasted every year in U.S. alone. And 45% nutritional value is lost. And the last problem is, again, I spent a lot of time in ConAgra running our tomato group division, and I follow trucks. Most tomatoes come out of Kern County. And if you follow this truck, it's a open bed truck, and it'll look like it's brand new green apples. And if that green apple, which is actually a tomato, not ripe, and I'll explain why in a second, bounces off that truck and hits your windshield, it'll crack your windshield, but the tomato will be just fine. And the reason is, you harvest that tomato to ship it all over the place. Tomatoes, just like strawberries, produce ethylene, which is a self-ripening gas. It's an agent, right? Self-ripening agent. You bring them just like bananas get ripened. You pick a tomato when it's green, and it's got a little orange on the bottom, because then you know that it's going to start the ripening process. And you want it to ripen when it gets closer to the consumer, which is great. We figured out how to deliver a cheap tomato. The problem is it tastes like teddy bear stuffing because you've cut it off from its source of nutrients, and now it's just fiber, which is, again, good for your microbiome, will keep you regular, but it doesn't taste like anything. So how do you get kids and others to eat stuff that doesn't taste good? They'll eat Skittles, because Skittles are designed for you to keep popping them in. And then we have an obesity epidemic, and and we can blame a lot of things. But the point is, it all starts with, it's not rocket science, right? Eat stuff that is natural, that is less processed, get some sleep, do a little exercise. And I'm not good at the last one because I have no right to say it, but try to stress a little less, right? You do those 4 things, you're going to live a good, long life. I mean, this isn't rocket science, but we tend to forget it. So what we are doing, what the industry is offering, is truly disruptive, because we want to build a farm, but that farm is a transportation company. It's a packing company. It's everything. We want to put a farm right next to the distribution centers of our customers. We want to eliminate that 2,400-mile run. We want to get that farm right there, and we want to be so integrated with our customers that the consumer will get a phenomenal product. Unlike on the last slide, I said the farmer doesn't make any money. The retailer on produce doesn't make any money. There's high margins, but there's also tremendous waste. And at the end of the day, every senior person at a retailer knows this. The buyers get charged on, or they get incentivized on how much they pay for things, but when at the end of the day, if you run through one exercise, how many trucks of, pick a commodity of your choice, were delivered at a distribution center, and what's scanned through the register? It's not the 3 to 10% waste that everybody pretends it is. The number is very, very material. It's more than half the stuff. It goes on salad bars, it goes in the back, it gets, a lot of things happen, but the point is, that's not where the value chain begins. Now you go back to the farming side and you'll realize that we waste 80% of the food we grow. Because stuff doesn't germinate, it doesn't come up. You waste a lot in the field. There's a huge waste at a processing plant. When you talk about sustainability, which I'll talk about in a minute, think about the water, think about the carbon footprint, think about of every step in a process. And you know, this is a simple, typical math equation. If every step is 95% efficient, you multiply 95 times 95 times 95, 10 times or 20 times, you get to a 30% efficiency. I promise you every step is not 95% efficient. You do that multiplication, you'll figure out how much food we really throw away whereas we grow, and that's why the costs are high, the quality's bad, and technology enables us to change it and do things differently. So that's the business model. I'm not going to spend time on this, with the exception that we started in 2015, our first farm in 2016. Our mentality always was start small, fail fast, cheap with tremendous insight. We weren't looking for headlines. We started with container farms, not because we thought that was the answer, but because we thought that it was a cheap way to get into business. We were using shipping containers, we build racks, we put lights in, and if we made a mistake, okay, it costs a couple $1,000 to fix it versus building Taj Mahals like a lot of our other pioneering competitors were doing, and they were raising a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, way too early, when you can't really spend it on anything useful. So they're building massive farms, and when you make a mistake, it's a $100,000 or a $200,000 mistake. You can't go back to your investors and say, oh, I was just kidding. So you keep doubling down, and that's how you waste $1 billion without having any real value created. We're doing it differently. We're using our own money in a sense. Every dollar we spend, we treat like it's our last dollar. Again, it's kind of what we do here in the Midwest, right? And the point is, we have a lot of farms. We're starting to expand globally. So the next slide, or little surprise is, you know, I can talk about this all I want, but it's hard to bring the imagery through. So can't bring a farm to you, would love to bring you to the farm. The best way I can do it is we let BBC come in. They showed this to, I don't remember, 200 countries, 400 million households or something crazy. We actually let them go into the grow zones, into the farm. It's a quick 4-minute video, and with your permission, I'll play it. The cool thing is the gentleman, James Wu, who is doing the interviews. He's got the coolest title in the world. I want that title when I retire. Well, it's not the former queen, but he is the former queen's botanist. I didn't know that was a thing. So, but they shipped him in, and normally, you know, BBC will use local crews, and this is the second year they worked with us. So the first year, they used U.S. crews, and the second year they brought these guys in, and they're going to hopefully do a special on us for half an hour next year. But I'll quickly show you a 4-minute video that actually takes you inside the farm so you can see the process and what really happens there.
I'm heading to a new breed of farm that seems to be a natural home for all the technology you could throw at it. Expected to be worth a staggering $50 billion by 2026, the indoor farming technology market is now a serious player when it comes to producing food. Whoa, look at this. This is insane. The sheer size of this, how tall is this?
It's actually about 55 feet high. This is a metric cube. So this is kind of 10 by 10 by 10. So if you picture each one of these rows, you're looking at 13,000 plants.
I'm inside the world's first fully automated indoor farm. Sitting on just over 1 acre of land, 10 acres worth of produce is grown by stacking the fields one on top of the other, producing a massive 2 million pounds of lettuce each year alone. You cannot see a space in between these. They're way denser than you could ever get in the outside world. With the entire growing system controlled by computers, I can see how something like the plant sensor would fit really well in this world. This is almost like coding. It's almost like biological coding, programming plants, understanding their behavior and trying to elicit that behavior by programming their environment.
Absolutely, and that's really the big step, is moving from learning how to improve growing because I saw something or we saw something and it looked good, so we want to try and replicate it, to actually using cameras, using artificial intelligence to detect those differences. And so we can be iterating on a much, much faster basis.
I think there's something happening behind us, and I'm kind of worried that the robots are taking over.
What you're seeing is actually one of the plants and one of the tables coming all the way down from where it was growing on its way out to get harvested.
I feel like I'm in a space station, and super perfect lettuce has just magically appeared from the heavens. And the automation doesn't stop there. What would traditionally be a labor-intensive process has been given the full tech overhaul, saving time and money, ultimately allowing the team to have between 17 to 20 more growing cycles than outdoor agriculture each year. And then what happens?
After that, you just stack it on here. And that's it.
So 200 plants in like 10 seconds or less.
And that's how we do it.
Astonishingly, it takes just 10 people to plant, manage, and harvest the tens of thousands of crops that pass through here every single day of the week. So after these have been rehomed into their bigger modules, where do they go next?
Yeah, so then we take them and we put them into large tables.
Yeah.
Which is what they're going to end up living in as they work their way through our grow zone.
Okay, okay.
And we end up doing, with this exact process, 70 to 80,000 plants a day.
In roughly 20 days, the crops have matured and are ready to harvest. A process that takes 3 to 4 times longer in traditional agriculture. To find out how urban farms like this one are going to revolutionize our food production system in the future, I'm catching up with 80 Acres co-founder Mike Zelkind. In the future, will you ever see things like the carbs that fuel humanity? You know, your wheat, your corn, your soy being grown in a system like this?
Yeah, we feel that to really make vertical farming become important in this world, we all have to get beyond lettuce.
Yeah, it's not a salad machine.
Exactly. Will it be growing corn and wheat? Not necessarily. That's not the most effective thing to grow. We feel tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and soft fruit like strawberries and blackberries are critical to make this a very important capability all over the world. The goal is to prove that you can grow the essential food supplies to a lot of these locations that have high population, scarce natural resources, and need sources of food that are local, that are close.
An added beauty of being able to grow this many acres of food in an urban environment means it frees up farmland further out to concentrate on producing more staple crops like wheat, maize, and rice that will be just as vital in the future. So you've come an enormously long way. This is 80 Acres Farm 2.0. What's the next step?
The future is systems like this spreading all over the country, then to the rest of the world. 10 years ago, this was science fiction. Today, it's possible. In 5 years, it'll be so ubiquitous that we will be shocked that this wasn't done before.
Thank you. So I think I am getting to the end, so I'll just page through a few quick slides and wrap this up. One of the ways we're doing this differently is we really believe in the power of collaboration. And the beautiful thing is we brought a lot of phenomenal partners. A lot of stories about this, but we always kind of believe that if we're the smartest people at the table, then we're sitting at the wrong table. So the reason we've been able to do so much more with so much less is because we have some phenomenal partners that have really helped us drive this whole industry forward. Instead of reinventing every piece of it, we took a look at all the best technology and capability, stuck it together, and then where it didn't work, we invented in the gaps. So we're not reinventing lights, we're not reinventing HVAC, we're not reinventing all these things. We got the best partners to do that. We're figuring out how to make it all work together, and that's where a lot of our inventions and IP is coming from. And the last thing I just want to point out, which is kind of fun, but it's a whole different approach to farming. You know, traditionally, if you think about outdoor farming, you move to greenhouse farming, you got this handsome Dutch gentleman who is picking tomatoes, but he's touching every tomato. He's looking at everything, and he's trying to pick it. The way that the world thinks about automating with respect, we think is lazy and inefficient. The concept is you build a robot doesn't take breaks, robot always shows up to work, right? Never calls sick and doesn't have emotional issues. So we replace everybody with robots. The problem is, think about the complexity of the solution you're creating. The robot, you need a mobility platform, you need a head to pick the crop, you need to identify if it's a leaf or a tomato, is a tomato ripe or not. Then you need a platform and you need a payload. You're solving all these complex issues, and then when you start doing the same thing with strawberries or raspberries, you got to pick them differently because the fruit will bruise. You're solving impossible problems. People are dumping billions and billions of dollars into a problem instead of redefining the problem. Our whole approach is you never bring people or robots to crops, you bring crops to people. So we are solving this problem by redefining it through genetics. The concept is obliterate, don't automate. Don't take something you're doing the wrong way and do it faster. Reimagine the problem. And the problem is the crops aren't growing the right way. So without any genetic modifications, we're growing biologically different crops. We bring them to a workstation, we pick them, and we've avoided this whole issue much less expensively and more efficiently. And bottom line, these are all the crops we're growing, kind of exciting, and incredibly sustainable. And if you think about the rate of change, and this is my son's quote who you saw in the video, very proud of it, a phenomenal, I think, Cincinnati story of went to school in New York, worked in a bank, was transferred to Singapore, and then instead of doing that, wanted to come home and work here. Think about the rate of change from the Neolithic revolution to agricultural revolution, how long it took us to get to greenhouses, and just imagine what we can do in the next 5 years. Thank you.
Stay here for just a second. Mike Zelkind, thank you so much for that fascinating presentation. I feel like you have just invited us into the vertical farming revolution that we didn't even know was going on in our backyard. I know my family's an avid consumer of your product, but the idea that this might be changing the world and the face of produce as we know it is really inspiring, and it's delightful to have you as part of our community. It struck me that this technology didn't exist 7 years ago, and yet here we are, right? It took a lot of guts and a lot of innovation and a lot of imagination to make that happen. We think here at Rotary that imagination is how we can envision a better future too. And in recognition of your presentation, we wanted to give you this Rotary coin. You know, our theme this year is Imagine Rotary, and you know, we're imagining a better future, similar to the way you are. And on this coin is the four-way test. And, you know, the four-way test is essentially our motto, how we are going to live a service-driven life in service to others. And you're clearly serving others with your work, and we thank you very much. In addition, we want to make a donation in your name to the End Polio Now campaign. It's a mission of Rotary to end polio, wild polio. It only exists in 2 countries in the world, and we've only got a handful of cases. And so we're going to try to make the push to eradicate that disease once and for all. And let's give Mike Zelkind another big Rotary round of applause. Here you are, my friend. Thank you. Very cool. Hey, it is a pleasure. Great having you. Stick around, Mike, if you don't have to make a dramatic exit. We'd love to chat with you and ask you some questions. We don't have any meetings today. However, we have an important meeting next week. We have the Young Professionals Choral Collective to bring additional holiday cheer, and the Ugly Sweater Contest. Brad Green is last year's champion. He's bringing the trophy back. So bring your ugliest sweater. Come ready to vote and come ready to celebrate. And again, thank you, Mike Zelkind, and meeting adjourned.